Hi, everybody. You know what? Kids Play Chefs has the best activity for you this week while we're playing like we're in a grocery store. We thought it would be fun for our activity to pretend we went shopping for all these things and we're baking country biscuits. My name is Patty, and I have two chefs working with me from their house, and I'd like them to wave when I say their name, Marissa Pace and Madison Pace. And they're excellent cooks. And today we're going to make country biscuits. So before we do much more, let's make sure we have everything we need. Some butter on your table?
Butter? Yeah.
Some kind of milk. And you have a bowl and a plate. And you have some salt. Good. And how about some baking powder? And I have a big tub of flour. So, hands, safe hands. Yeah, super. I have my apron. Hey, let's get started, okay? Let's make country biscuits. Start. Okay, first of all, we're going to take some of our dry ingredients. I'm going to reach in here into my flour bin, and I'm going to take out 1 full cup of flour. Okay, and so let's take our flour cup, a cup of flour, which is a powder, a solid powder, and we'll put that in our bowl. And I'm going to keep my cup measure right over there because we're going to use it for something special in a minute. And then we need to take our salt, and I'm going to pour a little bit of salt in my hand, but I'm not holding it over the bowl because I don't want that much salt in my biscuits. I'm going to take a little pinch with my fingers, and I'm going to put it in my dry ingredients. Now, it won't hurt at all if you just dust the rest of the salt off on your table for a while. Now, after we do that, we have a very important ingredient called baking powder, and this is called the leavening. This is what takes our biscuit dough, and when it's baking and turning from a semi-solid into a solid, it causes bubbles to appear inside the biscuit, and the biscuit will get bigger and softer. So I'm going to take the lid off, and I've got that big tablespoon measurement. Not my big mixing spoon, but a tablespoon. So I'm going to take a tablespoon of baking powder, and I'm leveling it off. They were nice enough to put a leveler in the can. And I'm going to put that into my dry ingredients. So now we have all the dry ingredients in our bowl. Put the lid on. And I'm going to take my big mixing spoon. Why don't you all do this too if you're working with us at home? And you just mix those dry ingredients together. I'm going to set my bowl aside and take out a plate. It could be a paper plate if you have one. And we did something really funny with our stick of butter. I took a stick of butter out of the refrigerator. I took a regular dinner knife, and this is what I did. I'll unwrap it for you. And I think Marissa and Madison did this at home too. We cut the butter in half, and then we cut each half in half. And there I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of butter. And each one of those pieces is called 1/4 of a stick of butter. Now I only need one of the pieces. So I'm going to take one piece, I'm going to put the rest of them aside, and I'm going to move my plate back, and I'm going to take the butter, and I'm going to take a dinner knife, and I'm going to cut my butter into little tiny pieces. Why don't you do that too? And the pieces should be about as big as your thumbnail. I'm going to drop that butter into the flour. So now we're adding a semi-solid, which is the butter, because you can see it's easy to cut. I can change the shape of it if I play with it enough. That's what we're going to do in a minute. So I've got all the pieces of my 1/4 of butter in my dry ingredients in the flour. Okay. Now, for what I'm going to do next, I'm going to reach into my flour, and I'm going to put some flour on my plate. And I've got really clean hands. I've washed my hands about 2 or 3 times before we started cooking. So I'm just gonna reach in here before I do anything else with my bowl. And I'm gonna sprinkle some flour. I'm gonna take my whole tub and sprinkle a little flour on my plate. Why don't you do that too if you're cooking with us at home? And that way you'll have some flour on your plate when it's time. Might be good if your mom or dad or who is ever helping you cook has that little container of flour handy, because you might need a little more flour as we get going. Okay, I'm gonna set my flour tub aside. When you go to the grocery store these days, sometimes you have to substitute. They didn't have regular flour the last time I went, so I had to switch to cake flour. And I'm really interested to see what happens the next time I bake with that cake flour. So I have butter in my bowl, and I have flour, and I have a pinch of salt, and I have a tablespoon of baking powder, and I think you do too. So now I'm going to take my wiggly fingers that are clean, and I'm going to put them in that bowl of flour and butter, and I'm going to kind of squish that butter up into smaller pieces. And as I'm doing it, I'm mixing it into the flour. Now we don't have anything really wet in there yet, do we? We have flour, we have butter that we're crumbling up. And when it looks so just about like, I don't know, sand, it's not sand, just about like crumbles. I like that name, crumbles. When it's nice and crumbly, dust your fingers off over your bowl, because you want all that to land in the bowl. And if you want to wash your hands at this point, you can. But I'm going to keep right on cooking. I'm going to take my ½ cup measure, and today I'm using buttermilk, but you can use any kind of milk that you want to make country biscuits. So whatever kind of milk you have, you might have almond milk or cow's milk. I have buttermilk, and I'm going to take this buttermilk and I'm going to fill my ½ cup. Now notice how I'm holding it over the bowl, so just in case it drips, it'll drip into my bowl. So I have a ½ cup of buttermilk. You've probably poured your milk into a ½ cup measure too. And you pour that into your dough. Now, when we stir this up, it's not going to be so dry anymore. I'm going to take my big spoon and I'm going to hold my bowl because I don't want to lose this. I don't want it to fall on the floor. And I'm going to stir up all those dry ingredients with the liquid ingredients. And do you see how it's turning into a semi-solid? And when I push it, it changes shapes. I'm scraping the sides of my bowl as I stir it. I'll show you. I'm holding on tight. When you get almost all the dry ingredients picked up in this semi-solid dough, I'm going to just take my clean fingers and push the rest of it off. And this is where I'm going to have my plate. I have flour in the bottom of my plate. And I'm going to take my dough and I'm going to put it with the big spoon, and I'm holding the bowl. This is where you might ask mommy or daddy or who is ever helping you to help you a little bit to get all that nice batter into this plate. Now there's two ways you can make biscuits. You can drop them by a spoonful onto a pan. You certainly can do that when you're working on this at home. But it's awfully fun to make cut biscuits. So I've got my dough here. I'm going to do this. Without getting my fingers too much in the bowl, I'm going to pick them up and I'm going to flip the dough over. I'm going to coat it with a little flour. And I think I'll do that one more time because I don't want my dough to be too sticky. Now, if yours is too sticky, you can sprinkle some more flour on it, or you can put some more flour in your plate. But I think mine is just right. See, it's a semi-solid. I can push on it and my fingerprints stay in it. And I'm going to make cut biscuits. So I'm putting my cooking pan in front of me. Ooh, my oven behind me is nice and hot. And I'm going to take, you can use a plastic cup if you want to, and you notice it's turned upside down. I have this cool little pudding cup. Looks like a little handle. It's made of glass, so I'm going to be really careful with it. turn it upside down. Watch this. This is so much fun. It's like playing with Play-Doh. You push that down into your biscuit and turn it a little bit. And when you lift it up, you'll see a circle. Sometimes the circle stays in the cup, but it didn't do that time. There, I have a circle biscuit in my plate. I'll do one more. And I hope you're having fun either cutting your biscuits out or dropping them by a spoonful on your cooking pan. Now I'm going to take my last dough and roll it a little more in flour. You notice I'm not picking it up and playing with it very much because that'll make it too sticky. Okay, I'm going to do one more circle and then I'll show you what's fun about biscuit dough. Biscuits are kind of a bread. People have been eating biscuits for a long time. Now I have all this biscuit dough left. So I'm going to make a snake. I'm going to make a letter. I'm going to make a little letter I. There's the bar, and I'm going to put a little circle above it. I just love to cook. I hope you do too. It's such a fun activity. And I still have a little bit more. So I'm going to roll it real thin. And since Marissa and Madison are cooking with us and their name starts with an M, I'm going to try to make a little M out of my dough. So you can have fun with the rest of your dough. You cut out some circles if you want, or drop them by spoons onto your pan. Then any leftover dough you can make little squiggles for. Now, once you know how to make biscuits, you can dip your biscuit dough in cinnamon and sugar. You can put a little bit of salt on top, make them like pretzels. I'm going to do something really fun. I don't know if you have a pastry brush on your table. I have one on mine. So I'm going to pour a little bit more buttermilk in here and take my pastry brush, and I'm going to brush a little bit of milk onto my biscuits. If you don't have milk and mommy wants to help you crack an egg, you can brush a little bit of egg on top too, but I like to use milk. It's easier for now. I'm even going to put some of my little shapes. There, we have the beginnings of country biscuits. Now, wouldn't you love to know, after we put these in the oven, I'm going to open my oven up and heat it up to 375 degrees. It takes about 10, 15 minutes to make country biscuits. You want them to be a little bit brown on the bottom, and you want them to be more solid, not hard as rocks, but you want them to be like a semi-solid that you can bite into, a solid that'll keep a shape. So, wouldn't you love to know what they're going to look like and what they're going to taste like when they're all finished? We have to wait, about 10 to 15 minutes. Don't go too far away. This is a good time to read a book. Maybe you want to read The Little Red Hen about her baking experience. Or maybe you want to read a book called Bread, Bread, Bread. It's about different kinds of bread all over the world. But this is the activity we think would be fun to play when you're working with the grocery store. If you do take it, we'd love to see what your biscuits look like. We're going to find out from Marissa and Madison what theirs look like and tasted like, because they're going to send a photograph in to memories@kidsplaymuseum.org. And they're going to write down, their mom's going to help them do this, or I'm going to help them do this. They're going to write down what they think those biscuits taste like. So we'll look forward to seeing your pictures too. If you want to send them on to KidsPlay after you do this activity, we would love to see them. So thanks for coming today, and have fun. And don't go too far away because you don't want to burn your biscuits. Bye.